Here we go. Oh my gosh, David, welcome to Victoria's Secrets to Health and Happiness podcast. I am so freaking excited that you are here.
And so am I. Thank you very much for having me. It's actually my utmost pleasure to be here with you. I was just saying, man, we went on that first Zoom call and we got connected instantly. It's like it's the energies. Yeah. So it's my pleasure to be here. I'm actually very happy. I've been looking forward to it. And here we are. At least the first one.
Oh, for sure, because everyone listening, this is just a teaser of what is to come. For sure. And I met David only last week on a goddess circle that I join every Sunday. And like he said, we instantly just connected. And I learned so much from him in the space of an hour that I had to bring him on and let you guys hear his wisdom and his magic. And actually, today, as you can see from the title of the episode, it's the unknown truth that men actually struggle with body image too. So, David, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us exactly what it is you do and why you do what you do. And I'm sure as we go along, there's going to be loads of juicy things that I'm going to ask in between.
Sure. My name is David Hughes. Actually, David is not my given name. It's the name from the biblical character King David. That's an adapted first name. Yes, but Hughes is part of my real Haitian name. I am a transformational coach in the area of sexual discipline, sacred sexuality, sex energy transmutation, and semen retention, and life force management or conservation for women. I've gotten here after so many years of struggle with my own personal sexual energy, from sexual addiction, all the way to running the streets to get laid. So many years, for so many nights, I would spend my last dollar. And so I had to get myself right. I had to get to the point where I plugged the leaks in my own energy supply, as I like to call it. And then after doing that, it was sort of the natural and unfoldment where I would be working with men. I do work with women, but I primarily work with men. And that's how I've gotten here. It's a powerful work. It's necessary. It's foundational because we are sexual beings, first of all. And when we have leaks in our sexual energy supply, it affects every area of our lives.
Can you emphasize on, if anyone doesn't know what leaks, I didn't until last week, what you mean by leaks in your sexual energy?
Interesting. Leaks can range from a sexual addiction, right, all the way to issues with self-esteem issues, all the way to survival instincts issues. That is, if your first chakra is not established, where you're not grounded, you're not taking care of your life, you don't feel safe, you're not provided for, you don't have a job, you don't have a safe place to stay. Those survival needs translate in your psyche as tension, as problems that you feel like you need to release the tension. And also then that's where we say things like, I think I'm horny, I think I need to let go of that tension. But really, it's because you're being bothered by those survival instincts. And of course, the moment that you let that tension go, that creates a leak in your energy supply, and that keeps you from ascending higher, because you must satisfy the first current energy center, let's say a chakra center, before the energy could go up to the next level. And so most of society operate in primarily in two chakras, the root and the sacral chakras. That's where they keep going back and forth. Survival issues, sexual issues, and the energy never makes it past the second chakra to their solar plexus, their horse, their throat chakra. And so most people are underdeveloped psychologically and spiritually because The leaks keeping the energy back from ascending or rising, and essentially have what is commonly known as a Kundalini awakening.
Yes. When did you experience your Kundalini awakening?
That must have been 5 years ago when I actually got on what is called in the manosphere or the men's world, nofab. That is a decision to stop watching pornography, high-speed internet pornography, and masturbation, and semen retention. That is to retain my life force, to retain that substance that is the juice of my body. And of course, that means I plugged the leaks in my sexual energy supply. And once I plugged the leaks, that was enough energy then for it to travel up my spine to my third chakra, fourth, five, all the way up. And that produced a Kundalini awakening. I really awoke. I think before that, I was sleeping. I experienced many nights of hot flashes. Like I was cold, simultaneously cold and hot at the same time. And I awakened. All of a sudden, life took on a different vibe. I understood better. My intuition got heightened. I felt more connected to life, more connected to people, more connected to myself. Of course, more grounded, because now with the energy stayed in, it can travel back and forth throughout the whole 7 centers, the chakras, and maintain that healthy, vibrant, positive life. And how that shows practically in real life is I'm very vibrant. My skin glows. I'm very jovial. I'm happy. I'm down to earth. I'm right here. I have energy. I can move around. I don't need enough sleep. I'm connected. I'm in a state of flow most of the time. My life is whole. I am dynamic, magnetic, and people are drawn towards me because my sexual energy is my sexual energy supply is intact and whole.
And I can feel that, which is why I was like, I need to know more about you. I need to learn from you. And Chloe and all the other amazing women felt the same. When you left the chat in the group, we were saying wonderful things about you last week. And I'm going to ask the question right away that many women will be thinking right now, which is what the question I asked you at the end of our last session. How often should a man ejaculate?
Yes, that's a good question. Of course, should is probably the best keyword of the question. I think men would want to ejaculate every day, several times a day. It
Yeah.
feels that good. But in my work, from my own personal experience, from my studies and the experiences of my work with men, I have come to the conclusion if a man is in a relationship, he's married, he's cohabiting with his woman, no more than once a week, and that's if he's eating well. We mean greens, vegetables, he's sleeping well, he's taking multivitamins, minerals, and supplements and stuff like that, where he can still maintain a high level of energy to be productive and healthy and magnetic and dynamic in the world and still remain attractive energetically enough to his woman. Because the downside is with excessive ejaculation, the man starts losing his own attractiveness to the woman and they don't know what the heck just happened. She doesn't feel as attracted to him no more because he's not as polarized. But for those of us who are hardcore, we go months. Even because I cohabitated, I lived with someone, my last relationship, and I did go months without ejaculation. Although I'm very sexual, I'm very freaky, I get it, but I have learned what is called NEO, non-ejaculatory orgasm, and
Wow.
where a man gets to experience a full body orgasm, like you ladies. That's the closest we've gotten to understanding your orgasm
I was going to bring
without
that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
okay without the ejaculation, because we have learned the orgasm and ejaculation are actually two separate events according to the brain, according to the body.
Mm-hmm.
Biologically, there are two separate events, but coupled together, and they happen together, and men assume that it's one event. But thanks to neuroscience, thanks to biology and all these scientists doing research, we have found out there are two separate events. So we can control the release from so that we don't lose the energy and still experience the orgasm. And it's crazy. It's amazing.
Wow.
So
And
no
is that
more than once a week for the men who's on supplements, eating well. But if not, and if he's well in age, we're talking about over 50, once a month.
wow? And is that something you teach the men you work with how to experience for themselves?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You know, that's why they come. They've had enough with the old life. They've had enough with, for example, I have a current client. One of his main issues, according to him, is, and you wouldn't believe it, he's tall and he weighs quite a bit. But he said, David, if I'm going through a hallway with someone and I said hi or I say something to them and that's a stranger he's talking about, he says it's my experience is usually I'm invisible to those people. Like they don't hear me, they don't see me.
Mm.
And he says, I know it's because I lack that power of my libido behind me. My life force is low. So, however, my voice comes out, however, my presence is, he doesn't speak from his diaphragm. He speaks very shallow, and that's a lack of power. That is translated and communicated to anybody's subconscious mind as this man is weak. He's not in his power. And it's a subconscious processing. The person doesn't decide, I'm going to ignore you. It's more like ignoring you feels right because
Yeah.
it's a subconscious processing. The vibe was sent from him, and the person in question receives the vibe all silently, and that person takes action that is ignoring him. And also, his goal is to, of course, improve his life force by getting him to retain longer, uh, being on supplements, eating better, although he's married, but he's been doing well. So those are the things that men come to me for. And I like to say in my work, my goal is to help men achieve what I have achieved for myself. And I have my story to prove that or to back it up, how much work I have done and how great life is right now.
Yay. There's nothing like personal experience, I believe.
Yes.
There's nothing like personal experience. And I would love to move the conversation onto body image. And before we get to the juicy details of your own journey, can you share with us how you've noticed, being a man who's attracted to women, how you've seen the lack of self-confidence, body image manifest in real time in the bedroom with you, like in relationships? Because everyone listening, I'm sure, mainly women, have body image issues or insecurities or low self-confidence. So
Mm.
we would love to hear it from a man's perspective too, please.
Sure. Uh, I've always said there is a lot of shame in the bedroom from my own experience with women. Now, I've been a Casanova. I've been out there, like I've slept with a lot of women. Of course, that's the experience I'm coming from, why I'm doing
Yeah,
this work, right?
exactly.
And one day it dawned on me, it just occurred to me like, whoa, there's a lot of shame in the bedroom. Some women want the lights off. Some women want the lights on. Some women want to be under the covers with you, not without the covers. And but this one particular experience that I had where the woman didn't like her butt, most specifically, right? She thought she didn't have enough. Here I was, not being concerned with that, thought that she had more than enough. And I would constantly be touching that, kissing it, playing with it and talking about it. But each time I did, all I was doing without knowing was amplifying her own insecurities. I kept bringing that up. And through my research, I have found out many relationships break because of this discomfort,
Yeah.
unspoken discomfort from the woman, because the man is loving her and touching her. When I see her naked, asking to send me a picture because I'm freaky, like send me a picture, this position, that position. And silently she's suffering with that, and she gets to a point where she can't take it no more. Of course, what the next issue that comes up, that is served as the main reason for the breakup, but it's not really the foundational reason for the breakup. And it breaks my heart because I have a pastoral outlook on life that is, I've been in the church. I was being groomed to be a pastor. I have a bachelor in practical theology. I've served in many churches at different levels. I think naturally, as an Aquarius, also, I have this pastoral, this shepherd, this nurturing type of outlook and personality, which I actually love. And because that's what I came here to do. And seeing those women suffer like that, got to me. I was affected, and I wanted to help. Actually, I wanted to. One day, I will have the opportunity to speak on these issues. I will have the opportunity to address and talk to some women concerning these issues.
Yeah, because as women, obviously being a woman myself, I've had so many times in the past where no matter how much my partner was praising me and saying that I looked amazing and all of that, if we don't believe it ourselves, it's almost impossible to embrace that because we don't believe it in here. So
Correct.
I totally get that, and I've come to it was only last year I came to a huge realization with my fiance. Now he loves me unconditionally,
Mm.
and I wasn't accepting or allowing that unconditional love because I put conditions on it, like, okay, he can love me if I feel like I'm on fire in whatever stage of the cycle I'm in right now,
Sure.
or I
Mm.
can allow that love if I feel that I look hot. But what about on the days where I feel like shit and I don't feel sexy at all, and he's there telling me how beautiful I am? How can I then let the love in? And that was a lot of inner work that I needed to do. But one day it just like landed, and I was
Mm.
just like, wow. And now I fully have put all my walls down and I've been vulnerable. I think we're so scared to be vulnerable. Everyone
God
is,
bless
right?
you.
It's scary.
God bless you for reaching this part. If I may touch, I'll add a little bit to
Oh,
this.
please.
Um, the only woman that I've fallen in love with, right? She recently, we broke up about a year and a half ago, where I walked out because I needed to get into my purpose, and I got frustrated. I couldn't invest any more time, energy, and effort. And she had broken up. Then I left. And of course, a lot of times women don't mean the breakup, but when the man says yes, at least for the men that I know and myself, we mean it. And I was absolutely in love with the woman. Everything. It's just the way it's a natural thing. But she would often say, if I said, "Baby, I mean, oh my God, you're so intelligent, you're so articulate," she would say, "Really? You think so? You think I'm really intelligent?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, whoa, you are." And I wasn't the only one saying that. At her workplace, she was being complimented as well. And oftentimes, if I brought her flowers or whatever I would do for her, she would ask me, what did she do to deserve that type of thing?
Mm,
And that's how I began to understand, oh, okay, okay. So she has not accepted herself. And she told me straight up that the day that she would get enough money, like $100,000, she would go and get a butt job and a breast lift. And everybody in her life, her family knows, because all of her life she's been cynical. She doesn't think she had enough. And one night when we went out, we had a few drinks, and she came home. Of course, when once you have alcohol in your system, your prefrontal cortex is sedated, and now the animal in you is coming out. And she said, "I love big butts. I love big butts. I see myself with a big butt on me. I don't have it. I hate what I have." And she was laying down saying all these things in that half drunk state. And
mm.
yeah, it's it's a big problem out there, and I'm willing, and I think it's part of my work to help, you know show women the divine side to their being.
Yeah, it's not all about what your body looks like. It's about the sexual essence of who the woman is, right? It's not
Sure.
about what size bum you have. It's about, and I've recently learned this the last year or so, it's about all of you. Like, I've been to 2 naked spas recently, and that's the first time in my life that I've experienced those. And it was so healing. So I recommend that if anyone can do that, even though it's scary as hell, please do it, because it just shows you that, for me, the biggest thing I learned was our bodies aren't just sexual. For some reason, through my past experiences or whatever it may be, I decided that a naked body has to be sexual, but it
Mm.
doesn't. It can be idolized and admired for the beauty of the nature of whatever it is. And of course, you're going to feel attracted to some people more than others because of the animal instinct in us and the mates that
Correct.
we like. But it's not just all about the physical body and what it looks like. It's more than that.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Uh,
can you please tell us about your body image journey, David? Because you seem so confident now, so whole within yourself, and I believe that
mhm.
you are, as you kindly shared that with us. When did when did your insecurities start growing up?
Mhm. So I grew up in Haiti. I'm from Haiti, and growing up in school, I must have been 9, 10 or something. And we have soccer. Of course, you guys do too, right? Well, what Americans call soccer, but it's really football.
Yes,
Let's call it what it is. We
exactly.
have football because you play with the feet. And so the well, the football teams would only select boys with a certain body type. That is, they have some muscles on,
Hmm.
and they had what they call what uh, is referred to as bow legs. Like they didn't
Oh,
have not knees.
where the knees go out from one another, right?
Yes, yeah, like that, yeah, yeah. So that is deemed to be, I don't know whether it's more stable or more appealing to the eye. And if you look at teams out there, you will see that men tend to look almost the same on the teams, and the same thing for the army too, for the
Hmm.
army, and yeah, that's the same selection process. And of course, the boy like myself who knew how to play, who could play but couldn't get chosen, had to ask ourselves what's wrong, and suddenly realize, oh, whoa, so my body doesn't fit the criteria, or I don't look like these other boys. And also, those boys were getting most of the girls.
Hmm.
I was getting girls in that stage because of my intelligence. I've always been intelligent, and once I open my mouth, a girl is interested in me. But if I don't open my mouth, she goes to Johnny over there who looks a certain way. And I think very early on, my small, little mind said, I don't have the body, or I don't look like these boys, and I'm not going to get the girls.
Mm.
And that's how it started. And also, I used to get teased. Uh, I used to get called. I used to be told that I had rabbit ears, like my ears go out, which is not true at all. That's crazy. And so those two things put together weighed on me into all the way into my early 20s, actually. Until one day I looked in the mirror and realized, wait a minute, I think I'm handsome though. I think my ears are not rabbit ears. They don't go out. They actually, I think I'm good. I think I look good though. I think I'm good. But the best part of it wasn't done until really late 30s. I'm 40 now. We're kind of like 35, 36. When in America now, this
Mhm.
thing with six packs, men having six packs and muscle and this and that, and the women want the guy who has the six packs, the guy who looks a certain way. But I used to get girls, but I still had that insecurity in me until I made peace with, you know what, this is how I came here. This is the vehicle that I operate here. It's a disservice to decide that God didn't do a good job enough. And I actually had to repent. Like in the church, we say repent. I changed my mind. This is not what I don't mean this no more. I don't mean to offend
Mm.
the creative power of the universe by saying I am not the prototype, or I don't look like the prototype, which there isn't a prototype. We are all our own type. So I did some inner work, some healing, and let that go. I've had to spend time in front of a mirror, because you talked about that in one of your episodes, affirming myself, talking to my body, talking to me, looking at myself in the eye in the mirror, fully naked, and checking my body out. I'm telling you, it has grown on me so much that sometimes I just grab my glutes and my thighs, be like, damn, these look good.
Oh
Those
yeah.
they look good. I'm like, look at my, I would turn around in the mirror. I'm like, oh, I see why the women like to spank my butt. I have a nice little butt, like, whoa, like, um, now it's fun. It's fun
Mm.
more than I'm comparing myself to somebody else. And guess what happens, Victoria? Because I did that, I was able to get into a style. I learned my style. I learned what type of clothes match my body and make me look good for myself first, based on my height, my body type, my complexion. And since I've learned this thing, it's been amazing. When I dress, I look good because I've learned those things. I stopped wanting to wear certain things that every guy is wearing because they have the
Mm.
body type for it, but I have a different body type. I wear what looks good on me, what matches my body type. And there are a lot of men out there with body image insecurities, especially overweight and also underweight. I'm telling you right now, I have two clients and they are on each end of the spectrum. One overweight, one underweight. I just got a text message the other day from the underweight saying, David, please, my insecurities right now are through the roof. I would do anything to weigh 140, I think he says. He said, I might as well read it for you just for proof, right?
Yeah.
He said, as you know, I am skinny. I always have been skinny, and this is something that really bothers me. I will do anything to gain some weight. I only weigh around 115 through 120.
Wow.
That's a concern for a man. And interesting thing is that happened on Sunday afternoon. That text came in on Sunday afternoon, and here we are. We already said that we're gonna do this podcast episode, right, on body image for men. And here is one of my clients. He's been my client since last year, actually. Shoot me that text out of the blue, once again bringing up his underweight
Mm.
problem. And of course, he has a wonderful girlfriend living together. And I asked him, has she brought that up lately? He said, no, she's never said anything about it. How did you how did you get triggered this time right now? He says it just came to mind because my parents, my family members, my friends, all of my life, and it just came to mind. So basically it's still in his subconscious mind. And anytime other things in his life are not going, that insecurity resurface and he has to deal with it. This gives you an example of what's happening right now currently among men. But guess what? Women don't typically think that. Women don't think that men are having this conversation.
Yeah. It's
Right.
because men don't talk about it as much.
Mm.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think that's true. We've grown up in this society where, for example, I like to say in my work, when I was growing up, healing, emotional work, and self love did not apply to men. It only applied to women because the way it's seen is men are the perpetrators, women need healing because men caused them to need healing, and so men did not need healing. Men couldn't cry. In fact, in my country, if you were beaten up for something and you're crying, you're gonna get another beating for crying, and you better stop crying. You can't express your emotions and your feelings like that. And I think that is a big part of men not liking to express their emotions and their insecurities. And I think too, as I have experienced, when we actually expose our insecurities, we can lose a lot of things. We'll lose women, from women to colleagues who are still operating on the same system that says you should not let this out. Now I see you from a different light.
Mm.
It takes a lot of courage for a man like myself. Not no courage right now, but for me to build to where I am, it has taken a lot of courage to be open and vulnerable, and sort of wear my heart on my sleeves, and just express my emotions, and just say what I experience and talk about what I experience. In fact, I had a little small moment of really looking at myself saying, is this the kind of work that you're going to go in the world doing? Like, you really want to talk about these issues, sexuality, insecurities, emotions, healing? Whoa. Is that what you really want to do in the world? Because as a man, you go out there trying to talk about these topics, people look at you like, whoa, don't you have cars to build and airplanes to like, go study, engineering and something like that, go do something like that, instead of talking about these areas and issues. And I think that's the problem. Men are expected to have that masculine bravado,
Mhm.
and underneath that is a lot of insecurities, need for healing, traumas, brokenness. In fact, the famous preacher T.D. Jakes wrote a book called Emotions, and he talks about you're sitting right next to a man who's dying on the inside. His emotions are overwhelming him, but he
Mhm.
can talk. He not only he doesn't have any friends he can talk to, but anybody he dares opening up to will abandon him because he's not supposed to open up about his emotions and insecurities.
That makes me really sad because as
Mm.
women, and we find it easier to express
Mm-hmm.
our emotions because we're emotional beings. That's how we express ourselves. However, a lot of women do suppress their emotions too, but men, vulnerability creates deeper connections and relationships, and
Correct.
it's your calling, as you know, to be that light in the world, to make this aware, to make people aware of men being vulnerable, creating deeper connections, showing emotions. It doesn't make men weak. In fact, I find it strong and a turn on if a man can express his emotions.
Mm.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. For of course, being where I am right now, doing the work that I'm doing, absolutely, I know a strong man from the true sense when I see one. Is the
Mm,
man who's down to earth. He's done some healing work. He moves around without that masculine bravado. He doesn't have to
mm,
push his chest out. He doesn't. His confidence is gonna, square his shoulders up, and then if he works out and eats well, type of thing. But he's not trying to put on that front, right? And even if someone would make a comment like, well, you got everything, it seems like you got your life together, he would really take the opportunity real quick and be like, whoa, no, no, no. I don't have everything together. Not everything in my life is together. Most things, but I do have certain issues that are currently like that I'm working on, or I have areas of my life that serve as sources of stress constantly in my life. And he will take the opportunity to correct that person on the assumption that he's got everything together, he's got everything figured out. And
mm.
I can always recognize that man, just as I can always recognize the weak man, although he's appearing with that strong masculine bravado, but he's weak on the inside. He feels very small. He's very vulnerable. He's very um, wounded. He's just putting that strong front to keep people from really seeing what's underneath. But men are more attractive to women when they have done that healing work and now they become whole. I'm telling you, it's a joy. They come around
Yeah,
because we'll become more attractive.
for sure. And do you also have the same belief that I have? Whereas when people meet in a relationship, if they haven't done that inner work themselves separately, individually, they find in the other person what they're seeking and vice versa. So that's where I'm guessing the saying comes from, like, oh, you complete me. Well, actually, no, because you complete yourself and that person's just an additional joy in your life. Like, again, when me and my fiance met, it's very special because we've grown together. So when we first met, I needed somebody, well, I thought I needed somebody to tell me how beautiful I was, like always compliment me because I wasn't giving that to myself. I couldn't give that to myself because I didn't love
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And he was a little bit like you've just explained. He gave the whole I'm all manly, but actually he wasn't that secure in himself either. So we both filled the gaps for each other. However,
Mm.
we've grown together. So we've like healed ourselves while still being in the relationship, which I feel is so special because that's not a usual thing. Someone either heals and then they get left behind or vice versa, but it's so beautiful and we're each a mirror for each other. You know, he calls me out on my shit when I'm staying small and I do the same for him, and I feel very blessed to have that. And it's him, and this brings me into my next question for you around body image.
Mm.
He, although it came from inside, all the work I've done inside, he was the perfect partner, or is the perfect partner for me to allow myself to heal my body image because he held that sacred space, that safe space for me. I don't know if I could have done it as well as I have without being in the relationship with him. So
Mm.
when you went through your transformation from feeling not good enough to actually standing there and being like, do you know what? No, God made me this way and I'm perfect, whole, and complete exactly as I am. What was you in a relationship then, or was you in different relationships? What do you think helped along the way to realize that for yourself?
I was in a relationship, but the relationship didn't have any bearing on it. It was just my own development by myself. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm always developing. I'm always looking at myself. I'm always observing and reevaluating where I stand. Now, perhaps the only bearing or the relationship served was her own insecurities and how much she talked about and how much. Ooh, here was a big one. Yeah, it's coming back because she had those insecurities for herself. She preferred a woman who looked, uh, however, according to her, right? And also, too, I began to realize that she actually preferred a man who looked, however, she believed, right? And she would be entertaining her exes who looked a certain way, who have a certain body type. And I realized, and I said to myself, okay, so if she's struggling with accepting her body type, then those gestures that she does about around me towards me must be true. Because if she hasn't accepted herself, then she can't accept me. And I found that I had started being in some sort of a telepathic competition or sort of an invisible competition with that ideal man that she might like the way he looks better.
Mm.
And it began to get crazy. So I had to go and do some work, be like, whoa, I can't get into this. And I was awakening too. So, but I didn't have, we couldn't talk about those things because she needed to do her own work. And of course, I healed starting in the relationship and after the relationship, and she still hasn't done some work because, like you said, for example, I think it's now she's realizing that okay, and she just actually told me recently because she reached out recently, and I'm holding space for her in terms of she reached out, I didn't ignore her, I let her. I mean, I replied, and she's saying that she never wanted no other man, and it seems like for her, okay, you know what, the work that I need to do, and she did tell me the last time we met that I think you came in my life to help me change my life, but I didn't take the opportunity while you were with me. And now that you're not here, the silence is deafening. And I think this is my opportunity to be the woman that God wants me to be.
Wow, that's beautiful. Really beautiful. And I truly believe that everyone in our life is there for us to grow and be a better person and to help the other person do the same. Did you ever, or do you ever still compare yourself with other men, whether it's body in particular or how successful someone is or whatever?
I consciously don't. Every once in a while, the mind. Well, so let's say in the workout area, I have a personal trainer. I'm working out. I do want to transform my body. Perhaps I might just look at that man and be like, "Whoa, okay, you know what? I think I want to burn enough fat to look as lean as this guy looks," and that's as far I get, because I know, uh, as far as looks are concerned, I can dress well for myself enough to look well for my type. Success wise, definitely not, because I understand every man has their own journey. I've had an addiction that really kept me from succeeding, for, so let's say, financially, or more like in the world type. I've had businesses. I've been in many business ventures. I've been a real estate agent, tax preparer, notary public. I mean, used car dealership dealer. But the addiction really basically just damaged the whole thing, and I have accepted my journey. So it makes no sense to compare myself to Joe over there, who didn't have an addiction, and that's his journey. But I have what I call intangible success. Now, he may have the house, three cars in the front to show for his physical, monetary, financial success. But I have, for example, being here on this podcast with you to show as my intangible success. It doesn't happen. If for some reason a little idea or just a side, I quickly correct it, and that doesn't happen very often. And then when it does, it's probably very minimal. It's insignificant at that point.
Yeah. And talking of body image for yourself, your past self, or your clients currently, do any of them have like any disordered eating to try and manipulate their body to be a certain way? Have you noticed that?
Disordered eating? No. I have one of my clients who was overweight. He just tells me he has issues with carbs. Like, he has to eat a lot of carbs, but he wants to, of course, stop that, which he hasn't been able to start. It's hard to have a low carb diet, which I do now. I mainly eat one meal a day, and most times it's no carbs, but it takes some training. The underweight ones, as much as they would want to eat, can't eat enough to gain weight. I think if men has eating issues or eating disorders, it probably mostly has to do with stress
Hmm.
and current situations in their lives, emotional situations. I know when I broke up with my ex, I did gain some weight because on my way home, I would just stop at the grocery store and get a pint of ice cream, or
Tell me
some
for
other
the sake,
things.
what ice cream was it? I need details on this.
Hagen does.
Oh,
Is Hagen does. They have this flavor called. It has some nuts in it. Almond, Swiss almond, Swiss
oh.
almond. Hagen does. It's Swiss almond in vanilla. Ooh, it tastes really good. It's crazy. I love it. I love it. And I would stop and get me a pint. I would be at home 5 in the morning and leave home and go to what we call IHOP here, International House of Pancakes, and go get buy me breakfast at 5 to come home and eat and sleep and go to sleep to wake up at 12. But it was a lot of emotional processing that I was doing. That means a part of me was not present enough. And here's another thing too. As we do work in one area, another area actually can suffer. And that's what happened. As I was doing emotional healing, I was focusing on processing the emotions from the relationship to heal. I couldn't hold space and be present enough for some other areas in my life.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes we can't work on all areas together. We have to work on the most foundational ones, the psychological, emotional, and spiritual ones, and then that will manifest into the physical areas. And now here I am in the gym working out hard with a personal trainer because I'm healed to a great extent. My mind is good. I'm pursuing my life purpose. Now it's easier to work on my body.
Yes, yeah, I totally get that because self-love is a foundation of everything, right? And
It is.
I work specifically with women that have disordered eating, and self-love, although it heals everything, it can take some time. So a lot, if you loved yourself fully, you wouldn't binge eat, you wouldn't eat emotionally because you'd love yourself and your body that much. You wouldn't want to eat when you're not hungry. You wouldn't want to numb your emotions. You'd sit and you'd allow yourself to feel them. But it's hard. And, you know, as humans, as you know, we seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's what we do. And it takes practice, compassion, always compassion, to sit with this uncomfortable emotion. And when you're desperate to just eat a pint of ice cream instead of feeling that rejection or sadness, like you, what we tend to forget, and I still have to remind myself this occasionally with other areas of my life, you and me and everyone are strong enough to sit with that emotion. We're strong enough, we're not going to die, we're strong
Right.
enough to feel that. So it's the fear of the feeling the emotion itself which stops us from doing that difficult inner work, which then, you know, as you know, we use sex or food or alcohol or shopping even to like avoidance with everything.
I like to say, and I teach my guys, my clients, and in my lives, and I did a 3 hour live last night
Wow.
on YouTube. Yes,
Yeah,
it's a
check
lot
his
of work.
YouTube out. We're going to obviously go through these towards the end, but David gives so much value. It's incredible.
Yes, thank you. I believe in the over delivering mindset. I believe in the going the extra mile mindset, and also do more than you are paid for, or even without being paid. And very soon you will get paid for more than what you do. You will get paid more for what you do, and it's a dynamic that you have to learn to understand. And I do it from my personal from passion. I love what I do. I love speaking. I was born to speak. I have a lot of it inside coming out. I've always been observing, studying. I have a lot of revelations. I mean, this the spirit has really enlightened my spirit. So it's in here. So to get here has been the hard work in my life, to get to accept that this is what I'm going to do, to stop pursuing certain business in the world, certain higher education degrees, and be like, whoa, look, man, I ain't doing none of that. I gotta speak. When I speak, I bless people. People get set free. People are astonished. The life is in my mouth. This is the the path that I've chosen. Where I'm accepting my calling, and of course, that means I do it out of pure joy. I talk a lot,
I
and I
can
think
feel that. And you remind me of Eric Thomas.
Et. I actually played a little clip of him on my live last night.
There's my boy
Yes,
ET.
yeah, and many of the and he has said something, using different words along the same line for himself. Like, this is my vision. I got to do this. I got to go in the world. I have to reach those people, because it's when you awaken to your own inner, your abilities, your gifts. You're like, whoa, I do have certain gifts. I can't sit here no more. I'm willing to give up everything and pursue this because it has the greatest impact on the world.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So much energy and passion. I can feel it. I'm so blessed to be in full receiving of the energy right now. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And I'd like to ask you two more things before we wrap
Mm,
up. And one is, as a man, advising women in the body image realm, because for me, when women look at themselves and hate this and that, and like your ex-partner didn't think she had enough bum, and it's affecting how we interact with you in a relationship. And we always think that men like skinny women, and of course everyone eyes, the beauty is in the eyes of the beholder,
the
right?
beholder. Hmm.
But what advice can you give us that will
Yeah.
help us to look at the bigger picture
Yeah.
of actually men don't just want model type skinny women that look this
Please.
way.
Please, I've told my ex, I said, baby, you think, yes, she might pass by and my eyes follow her. Somehow my eyes land on that. Like, I'm not responsible for the initial look. It seems like I came wired for that. But believe you me, I don't want that. I want what you have. That's what I want. Truth of the matter is, not every man wants the big booty. Not every man want the model looking like chick. In fact, these days, the model looking like women do look, I don't want to use the word fake, but they do look somewhat unnatural
Mm.
because body parts have been enhanced and we know they have been enhanced. We know work has been done on them. And so you have a lot of men in the manosphere, in our small circles, and we talk about that. Hell no. Men would say, no, I'd rather take that lady over there who's had 3 children and her boobs sag a little bit, but she takes pride in her body. She's not always in front of the mirror. She's not throwing a filter on her
Mm.
picture for Instagram. She is self confident. I'd rather take that. And now, here is the other thing, too. Well, 2 more things. Competition. Most men don't want the competition. You get a model looking woman, you're in big competition.
Mm.
Men want her, women want her these days. Now we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
double competition. It used to be that men wanted your woman. Now men and women wanted your woman. The server who comes to the table serving me and my girl wants my. It used to be she would want me, and my girl would have to worry about me. Now I'm worrying about them too. Because yeah, I've had women hit on my girl, like basically take her away talking. I thought it was just a casual conversation. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Is she taking you away? Like, nah, cut this, come back here. We can. And so men don't want the competition, because I've had I dated a woman briefly after my ex and I broke up, and she said, "You see all of this. A lot of men would give a lot to be where you are right now in my presence." And I
Wow.
told her right back, "You see all of this. A lot of women would give a lot just to be right here in my presence, just like you are." And I told myself, okay, that's it. I don't want that competition. Basically, what happens is once she pulled that invisible figure, invisible man, and put that man in front of me,
Mm.
now I need to behave a certain way to basically, I don't want to say worship, but in the manosphere would say worship her, behave a certain way, because guess what? A lot of men with better assets and better opportunities than you want this, but I just love your spirit and love your behavior, and I'm with you. And it's like she's doing me a favor, or she's doing you, the man, a favor. And we talk about these things extensively. We don't want that competition. Trust me, a lot of men, if not most, when it comes to having a girlfriend, a woman in the house, want the less glamorous woman, we would say, because there's less competition. And that's one, right? And there is another big reason that's more private or personal, is sex. From personal experience, I'll tell you right now, I've been with women with big butts and enhanced body parts. It's hard. It's hard in the bedroom. They need time to take a break. They need time to breathe. This position is too hard. This position is not comfortable enough. Basically, you only have 2 positions that you can experience, intercourse with that woman. Whereas when you, when you have the one that looked like my ex, I mean, positions are endless. The sexual activities are much more enjoyable. Okay. And we talk about these things like, oh yeah, I mean, these ladies they get tired very quickly in the bedroom when they have all these enhanced body parts or whatever women think men want, the big butts and stuff. And also there is penis size, right?
Mm.
And no, yeah, like, no, bro, we don't. I don't want that. I don't have a size for it. It's too. Basically, you're limited to the positions that you can really get in and thrust deeply in, because
Oh,
you have all
yeah.
of that meat in the way. I'm gonna. I don't know if you're if I can say these things on your podcast,
Oh,
but of course,
absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
there. David goes deep, and he'll say it what it is, like it is. And so we talk about these things like, man, you literally would need, um, you're limited. For example, with some of these women, a man is limited only to a missionary position to get a good deep thrust and in where we really both feel like it's working. But when you have the other type of women that who thinks that men don't want her, we're like, whoa, you're fun. We have so many options with you, and we do have a good size, and you'll travel all the way in and have that deep thrust and stroke that we all satisfied, because the vagina has different positions for when you go in, that stimulates both the men and the woman. And with a lot of meat in the way, men are limited.
Yeah.
And the conscious men who have done the work, who have taken time to observe, are like, no, we don't want that. And one last thing on this point, I know successful men, whether from my old business circles and or right now out there, whose wives are not necessarily striking to the eyes or appealing or like looking like the models. And that was by design. That choice was by design for less competition, less worry, more time in the bedroom. Life is good. I ain't got to worry about, it's a lot of work to do to keep this woman. And
Yeah.
it's, that the man doesn't have that distraction. So I think women need to know that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously you can only speak for yourself and that of your clients and the experience you've had. If you're happy in a relationship, apart from the animalistic looking at a woman when she walks past, do you think that men ponder having sexual relationships just in their mind with other women? Is that a normal thing for men to do, even if they're madly in love?
You're
Give it to
asking me
us.
to divulge, is that the word, divulge, men's secrets or men's inner world? uh Men are obviously very sexual beings. They carry the seed of life that creates another human being. And biologically and evolutionarily, or whether if somebody believes in God sets it up this way. The man has an energy in him always pushing forward, seeking a place to lay that semen
Hmm.
for the continuation of the race, right? And so this is where women say men are always thinking about sex. To a certain extent, man is sex. Yeah, he's a sex machine. He needs somewhere to put that, uh, for the race to go on. And so the answer is yes. The answer is yes. However, you brought that book up from David Data, The Way
Yeah.
of the Superior Man. I'm referring to him because he touches on that. And if there is, whenever I'm speaking, if there is somebody else out there who said something that I believe in, I'll quote them so that people can go and look up the book of their work, since I haven't written one yet.
Yet.
And
Yet.
yet, we said it at the same time, right? Correction. Yet. And so he says this in the book. You you can get energy from interacting with other women and then go home to your particular woman without taking action to those energies from the women we meet on the road. And that's what I practice. Although I don't have a woman, I'm not in a relationship per se. Well, I have women, but I'm not in an exclusive relationship. Well, it's very sexual, good life, beautiful life, and women love being around a man who's open like that. Look, man, here is where I am. Here is how I live. So you all right with that? Then okay. And he says, basically, you see the woman, you may interact with her. Your mind says, "Dang, oh my God, I know what I can." And men, and that just happened on the road before I got back to the studio here. I was driving and at the traffic light, and this white lady was jogging. You know, she had some spandex on, and funny thing enough, she doesn't look like the model type of people, women that the world is obsessed with, right? And I looked over, and my mind literally said, "Oh, oh my, oh, did you see that?" And I rolled down my window and told the other black driver next to me, "Did you see that?" He's like, "Whoa, yeah, man, I saw that too." And I rolled up my window and drove off and come here. And what happens is when men grow up and expand their consciousness, they no longer take action on the thought. The thought comes automatically. I heard it. I didn't decide. I didn't say, "Oh, look at that. I want to think that I want to feel this way." No, no, no. It just hit like, "Whoa, look, whoa, man, I would spank that." And then automatically the new self, the expanded self comes into play almost instantly and be like, "Well, that's all it is." Roll up my window, drive off, no phone number, nothing. You don't pursue it. Where you have the unconscious man who still predominantly run by his animalistic instincts, he goes and pursues that. And that's where those men get in trouble. But for the majority of men, do they have thoughts about the secretary at the office, the lawyer, you know, wherever, the nurse at the hospital? Like I just went to the ER and came back with a number from the nurse. You know, does he have thoughts? Yes, but he chooses not to venture in that direction. He goes home and says, "Honey, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you have prepared food. I'm happy to be here. Come here, give me a kiss, sit on my lap." Because he knows he just fought so many wars and he just let go of so many things that could potentially get him in trouble.
Wow. So this is a message to us women not to take that thing personally as if we're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way a man's brain works, and it's nothing
Oh,
personal to do with
yeah.
us.
Yeah, I like to say, and I say it often because I do want men and women to understand it. Like for example, I've had women say, "Well, all men want is sex. Y'all just want to have sex." And I said, "Well, do you have something else for us to do?" Obviously, you perhaps don't quite have something else for us to do, but we can find work and do work. And of course, because we are sexual beings, we have this energy pushing towards us. Do you know, is on this journey, semen retention, sometimes we go to the bathroom to take a leak and we can't leave the bathroom because we are too hard. It's not going down, it stays up. So then we have to stay in the stall for 5-10 minutes. I have had to do that until it calms itself down whenever it feels like it, and then I come out. So that's a real. It's not a struggle, right? It's not. We don't call it a struggle because we choose to be on this journey, but that's a real experience of a man. That thing is saying, "Let's go," against his will, but
I love that. I
it's a
have.
real energy pushing towards a man, inside a man. It's a real significant, powerful energy saying, "Move, move, let's do something, go, go, go." We're seeking to be, for example, we like to say, there's something in the man that's always seeking to find a moist, warm place to lay and then later on explode.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
makes a difference between maturity, expansion of consciousness, and self development work between men. That makes the difference. What those two men are going to do in these scenarios. For example, the more developed men, the men with the expanded consciousness, might say, "I saw that on the road, but I can't wait to go home and tear whatever I have home up."
Yeah.
You see the transfer of energy and the transfer of
Mm.
focus. Yeah, it it doesn't have to do with with women. And just like cheating, when men cheat, you better believe it's not just a cliche. A lot of times, it really has less to do with the woman.
Mm.
It's just that thing is pushing to the man, and if he hasn't learned to control his urges, uh, there's an element of lack of self love in a lot of men too who keep pursuing different opportunities like that. But it has little, if any, to do with the woman.
Wow, that's really helpful to know that as a woman, and I'm sure the listeners also. And I have a fun question to ask you.
Oh, let's go. David is always open for any question, but once you qualify it to be a fun question, oh my gosh, let's go.
Can you tell, or you may never have had experienced this, if a woman is faking it? Because women do, some women do. I don't anymore, but I used to all the time through my own insecurity stuff.
I personally have not, in personal relationships, I don't think I have had experience that. I've had women who did not want to orgasm, did not, they will stop themselves halfway. And so whatever they showed was what they could show. And I've had women who, every time we did it, she wanted to reach an orgasm. And it was a beautiful thing. And she would do it. If any experience of that sort, it would have it would have to be the few times I ordered an escort. Then,
Mm,
yeah, I think she that's a job, that's a business. She
yeah,
would fake whatever morning, and she would say, "Oh, I think I'm about to do this," and I think that was for stimulation for me, the man, in the act more so. So yeah.
yeah. And one last question, again for us women.
Uh,
When we're having sex or when you're having sex, a lot of women and the old me would worry constantly, what does my, have I got a role in this position? Can you see my cellulite in this position? What are men looking at, the three key elements like the vagina, the ass, and the boobs, right?
mhm.
Or are are you noticing the things that us women decide that that's all you're looking at?
There is a, before the man expands his consciousness, like you have up to mid 20s, that's basically all that man looks for, because he's just almost purely animal, a sex machine, a sex animal. He has no thoughts in it. It's the boobs, the booty, the holes, and bam. And of course, those young men almost never satisfy a woman either. He doesn't
Yeah,
lick, touch, caress. He goes straight for the kill and to explode, because it's himself. It's that's what, yeah. But from mid 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, all the way to where I'm 40 now, whoa, sex is a different experience. And I like I say, we can't do quickies, baby. I need at least 8 hours, because the first three
wow,
hours, are just about interaction with you, enjoying your presence, enjoying your hair, talking about you, touching your skin, asking you questions, and holding you and being there with you. That tantric experience for the first 3 hours. And then the fourth hour, I might start undressing you and touching you. So really, it's a whole different, and I go deep on my lives with these things, teaching guys. It's a whole different experience right now. And so there was a point when I was addicted to porn. Of course, it was the boob, the ass, and the holes, and the load. But right now, totally different experience. It's more like looking forward to having that divine experience of being in the presence of my divine counterpart, meaning in this existence. And we're about to do something that's bigger than us. Because when you look at it, these two organs were created for each other. Oh my God, as soon as they plug, oh, something marvelous happens. And so those are the thoughts that I have more in my mind right now. than the actual body parts. And it has taken some work. It's a huge transformation. That's what I teach men. But make no mistake, a great number of men, if not still most, go straight for the parts you just named and the load.
I'm sure so many women right now are thinking, oh my gosh, can you come and teach my boyfriend like the same thing?
Put my YouTube channel on your show notes. They can go and click and have their boyfriend follow. And of course, my work will be expanded to more areas in 2021 and on. As I interview, as I get in touch with people like yourself and Goddesses of Light and Chloe, a lot different ideas and revelation is coming in, and our work is being expanded also. But yeah.
How can, so you say you work with women, so my audience is mainly women. I would like you to leave us one, I want to say the word advice or tip that us women can do going forward that will help you men and how you feel about yourselves, whatever comes up for you. And I'd also love for you to share how we can work with you or
Yeah.
get more from you.
In the work for now, since it's now, I'm about to actually include professionally women into like my website or my Patreon type of thing, but it's been primarily men. You can put my email address in your show notes, right?
Yeah.
Because you can put my email address,
Everything.
and I can get an email until I actually change my Patreon and get my website to be more heterosexual, where encompassing both sexes. But for now, it's my email address. Now, go over that question one more time for me.
So it wasn't a very clear question, but it just came to me to ask you to give us women something to go away with, whether it's some advice or a tip that where we can act a certain way or say something to the men in our lives, not just
Mhm.
our romantic partner, but to the men in our lives that will help men with what they struggle with, if that makes
Oh,
any sense.
no, it does. I think it clicks. It clicks. It does. It does. Let's say this though. You have to remember, and I think I said it on the last live with the other sisters. Language is very limited. Language is something we have developed, and our consciousness is still cannot be even 50% expressed through language. Emotions and feelings express way more than words. So sometimes you understand what you would want to convey, but the words are not coming together
Mhm.
because language is limited to express consciousness,
Yeah.
higher levels of consciousness. Okay. And so I think what a woman can tell a man right now to show support for what he may be going through is the simple acknowledgement that, you know what, I just listened to a podcast, or I just heard some men talk about men and what you guys experience. I have to be honest with you. I've never really taken time to think about you guys dealing with issues that society would have me think only women deal with. And you guys really behind that bravado, you may have certain personal insecurities and weaknesses or things that you would like to share, but you can't share. And I want you to understand that I'm beginning to understand now, or I'm beginning to see that. And just so you know, that has helped me to see you differently, like in a better light. And I'm here for you.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you. And all the women listening, when I've put his details in the show notes, he gave me some advice very briefly at the end of the call last time we had it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. The advice he gave me is exactly what I wanted to happen with what he recommend that I do or didn't do. So even if you're a woman listening thinking, okay, this guy's really interesting, I wonder if he can help me with the same kind of thing. He absolutely can, from personal experience already. So thank you, David.
Absolutely.
It totally
Yes.
worked.
My pleasure. I knew it would.
I love it. And I just want to thank you from my heart. I said to you in private messages, like, you just give so much love and value and passion. And I'm just honored to be in your presence and to hear your wisdom. And I just love it when you channel,
Mm,
don't you? When you do that,
mm,
I
mm,
can
mm.
feel that
Yes.
wisdom coming through you. And it's just so
Yes.
beautiful. So thank you from my heart for being here. And this is one of many.
One of many.
And
Yes.
I
But
appreciate your time. I appreciate you. And
it's
I'm
my pleasure.
so
It's my
much love.
pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And of course, we connected, like we said, very quickly. I think we almost took over
Yeah,
the meeting. At
you
one point in
did.
time, I just turned my attention to you. We were just talking, and I think, of course, Chloe did a good job as a moderator and a leader, and she brought it back to more like and more audience based everybody. But the energy just went zoom between me
Yeah,
and you.
it
It's my
did.
pleasure to plan this with you and to finally do it and conclude it the first session. And we're looking forward to other sessions now that we already know. Once we've done one, you've started a new uh, vortex for
Yes,
it to continue. And like I tell people, women, if you don't want to have kids, don't have a kid, because the law of the
yes.
universe is once you start one, that's it, baby. You're gonna have to work hard to stop that vortex because you've started something.
But we want it. We want it all. We want to give all the info, all the wisdom. This
Yes.
vortex is beautiful. I can feel it already.
Yeah.
So, mwah, thank you. And
Thank you.
we will speak soon.
Yes, we'll talk soon. All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
David.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.